What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another great episode of Tuffy Talk. And by the person that you're seeing on your screen, you've probably seen him once or twice in your life if you're a fan of the ACC. He is on the ACC network, and he is one half of the duo of the Gramlich and MACLAIN podcast. We always like to promote our guests. Mr. Eric MACLAIN, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight, sir?
What's up, guys, man? Thank you for having me. We got a little midnight oil we're burning tonight. I dig that. I love it. Love the background. You're stated out, man. Super fan. I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know this guy, he is a two-time, I think, if I did all my research right, LACC offensive lineman.
That's right.
Two-time ACC football champion.
That's right.
And a participant in the national championship. We won't talk about that any further.
Silver medal, yep.
Silver medal. There you go. There you go. But so you have lots of accolades, obviously, and you joined the ACC network in 2019. And I'm just kind of curious, what led you from your football career into the sports media and broadcasting world?
Yeah, man. Interestingly enough, it's something that I didn't necessarily want to do. Kind of growing up, a lot of these people, I've spoken and had the privilege to speak to a bunch of great, media members and folks that are in the media. And it seems like 80%, like this is what they've always wanted to do. They always knew they wanted to be a sportscaster, things of that nature, in the media. And it never was for me. I always thought I'd be playing in the NBA or the NFL, or I wanted to be a doctor. That was kind of my thing. And then as I got in school and you start figuring stuff more out, and I really wanted to be an athletic director. That was kind of the path that I kind of started on when I became a sophomore at Clemson. Kind of adjusted classes. I was in kind of a pre-med type thing with health science. And we actually had another window of that was pre-professional. It was kind of some more business classes, things of that. So I made that switch without totally switching my entire major. And then, as football was going on and I became better and, just more popular with the team, I was always the guy that would talk to the media, on Tuesdays or whatever it was, or, when Herb Street and Fowler and those guys were in town for the game, Marty Smith and the boys, whenever anybody was here, I was just the guy that was sent there to go talk to them. And it was awesome, being a great representative of Clemson. And, also I took it with, knowing that somebody was watching, I'll need a job someday. I know somebody's going to see this, this interview I do against Virginia, whatever it was. And so I kind of always had that in the back of my mind. Anytime that I spoke to the media and had that opportunity, that, I kind of treated it like a job interview and hoping that someone would see it. So, kind of fast forward to my playing days, I was with the Panthers for like a week and then they cut me. I was just done. I wasn't going to chase that dream forever, bouncing around the country, trying to make a squad, whatever. And so one of the first calls I made was back to Clemson, to our athletic director now, Graham Neff, and said, hey man, I'm done playing ball, gave it my all. I want to come back to school and finish my master's degree. I don't want to pay for it. And he's like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll make something happen.
Well played.
And so, I started that track to athletic director a little earlier than I thought or wanted, but it kind of got started there. So I was a GA for a little bit, graduated, and then I got into the multimedia world, with JMI Sports and started selling sports sponsorships and marketing for Clemson. And kind of with that, came the coaches show and radio broadcasts for games, all these different things that we had the rights to. And fast forward a couple of years there, I hosted Clemson's, after game show. We called it the fifth quarter show. It was 90 minutes and I restructured it, all these different things. So that year, that was 2018. Clemson's undefeated, playing in the national championship against Alabama and smoked their tail, by the way. I just want to get that off my chest. Just an absolute beating. I'm out in California, for the game and working and hanging out with family and get a random call, from this guy at ESPN. And,
Did you think it was a crank call?
Well, it started with texts and, I'm looking this guy up, he tells me his name and I can't find him, because I think it's like a reporter or a writer or something.
Gotcha.
No, I did not. I didn't have any indication that it was for work. I thought it was just me being a former player. They wanted my perspective. I played in a natty. I was a captain, all these different things. Because I talked to a lot of people that week leading up to it.
Right.
And so I thought that's all it was. So when I couldn't find them, they work for ESPN. Like, okay,
Right.
great, sure. So I actually blew this guy off 3 times. And finally met with him at the game. I was kind of testing him. I was like, can you get on the field? Like, if you can, I'll talk to you. But he could. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I meet this guy, and he's asking me about the game, but he's not writing anything down. And he's not, recording anything. So I'm like, dude, I don't say this, but I say, man, I want to go tailgate with my family. Like, what are we doing? Why am I talking to you? I don't know who you are. And then he hits me with this like transition. And he's like, so, there's a new network coming to ESPN. We want to fly you up to Bristol and see if you want to be a part of this thing. And I was just like, what? Wow. I mean, totally blacked out, had no clue what I even said. I'm sure I said yes. And then fast forward a couple of weeks later, I'm up in Bristol, love it, want to be a part of it. A couple of months later, I'm the first hire for the ACC network as an analyst.
Let's go.
Wow.
That's
crazy.
a really good story.
It's crazy story. It's been a total blessing, man. Every day since that, the people I work with in front of the camera, behind the camera, the relationships that I've been able to build with all these fan bases, it's truly been amazing to just meet all these people. And NC State, ironically enough, I'm not just saying that because I'm on this podcast with you,
Sure.
but I love everybody there, man. I mean, Annabelle Myers, SID, Coach Doran, Coach Gibson, Coach Anai now. I mean, I've known him for the last 3 stops. I love Raleighwood, man. It's a fun place. Y'all always get it rocking, and it's just one of the many pleasures of this business, being able to dive into your fan base, to your family, and to be just a small part of that. It's one of my absolute favorite things about this job.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, we don't maybe have the numbers of some of those fan bases, but we're loud and proud, and we like to carry the torch. So, so I kind of want to just pick your brain. We're going to jump all around, just asking questions. One of the big things, I don't know where I want to go with this, but NIL. NIL is the soup du jour, if you will. It's all over. We're talking about it nonstop, and I just kind of want to get your thoughts. Obviously, some new stuff came out today as we record this on 8/2 with the NCAA kind of trying to legislate this thing, and I put "try" in quotations.
That's
because
right.
It's not a pretty baby, but just kind of give me your thoughts on kind of where we're at. We're kind of year 2.5 into this. What do you like about it? What they're doing right? Kind of maybe what they need to kind of fix moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting enough, man. My career was very transitional in the fact that there were some big time things that had been going on for a long time that changed in college football, and then it took a 20 max jump. When I got done. But, when I was playing, we still had the video game. And then, 2 years after or in my career, that stops. That lawsuit is finalized. They're like, okay, you got to pay all these people. And I got, I don't even remember how much it was, a $300 check because I was in a couple of games. And that's cool, except for one bad part. There's no more game. And I was like, well, what the heck? Now I can't play anymore. Take my money back. Like, I'd much rather have the game. So I was in the middle of all of that. And then kind of the transition with the NCAA changing some rules on, us being fed. Because, I mean, I remember some tough times, man, where, we are, it's like Christmas break, but you have to stay at school because you have to practice for bowl. And because the NCAA rules, they can't give us a stipend because the cafeteria is closed. Right. So, bro, we're rolling on like $15 a day trying to eat. I'm a lineman. Like, we got to eat, man. That ain't working. Yeah. $15 a day is half a breakfast. You know what I'm saying? And so, dude, we would go to like Walmart and get white bread and bologna and ham and some cheese. And that would last us like 10 days. And I mean, it was nuts, man, how broke we were. And all this money is circulating around. So that finally changed, like maybe 2014 or so. Kind of all that happened at once too, where, okay, if you can afford it, you can feed them. When you're practicing, you can feed them. Unlimited meals, whatever it is. If they give us a bagel and peanut butter, it's not an infraction anymore. That is crazy.
I heard you talk about it on the podcast, and I was like, that's insane.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So all of that kind of changed, which that was big. And you talk about money and savings and all these different things. And then my last year in 15, cost of attendance was implemented. So that's now a couple $1,000, I think a semester maybe, that because of where you live, and it's different every school, like If you live in LA, you're obviously getting way more school, but everything costs more out there than little old Clemson. But that helped. Those things were great, and we needed it, man. We're poor. We can't have jobs. It's NCAA infraction. You can't get paid, all these different things. So, I'm all about these guys and girls getting money for what they've been able to do. What I hate is how it has become, oh, you owe me. It was supposed to be, I can use my name and make money myself. It's not, hey, collective, and forgive me for not knowing y'all's, hey, Pack Pride, whatever it is, give me $75,000 or I'm out. Like, no, man, that's not how this works. Like,
they're almost holding them hostage. Yeah,
it's crazy. It should be, I get my worth via my social following, via my impact on the field. My agent goes and gets deals. Not, hey, pay me or I'm gone. I hate that, and it's crazy. I don't like where we are with that right now.
And I'm sure you've heard it before, but it's the two NIL and transfer portal. It's the combination of both of them kind of coming into existence at the same time. Which is really the problem. Yeah. I mean, from a fan side, I've obviously there's some issues with it, but I've kind of enjoyed it because you don't have to sit through multi-year rebuilds. I mean, I know you're a football guy, but our basketball team was dead last in the ACC, and the next year we made the ACC or the NCAA tournament. So from that aspect, I like it, but obviously there's plenty of other issues.
Because I'm glad you brought up basketball. Isn't it like exhausting not knowing who's on your team, like in May?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and figuring out who's who and not building and. Isn't that annoying?
I mean,
because that really turned
a little bit.
Because basketball, the transfer stuff was way more relevant in basketball, even when I was playing. Yeah. Like Clemson would roll through guys. Like dudes would come in, leave. Like I wouldn't even know who was on the team, by the time I'm playing. And so that really, and I'm a fan of all sports, man. I love sport, but that has turned me off to college basketball because it's like, I don't know who the heck's where. And football is slowly, like it's a much different thing, but football's
slow bleed.
Yeah, football's getting to that point where you don't even know who the heck's on your team. Louisville has 41 new players this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane.
And some of that's new coaching, obviously, but still. But it's gotten to the point where I've always been a guy that I want to root for my players, my guys. But I've gotten more. I cheer more for the front of the jersey than the back of the jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
I just can't get an emotional investment in these guys and ladies.
I mean, we're also probably not the best people to ask that because we're so diehard. We're following all the recruiting and everything.
You freaking know who's coming through those doors.
If you ask my dad, he went to state, he graduated in '83, the national championship year, and he's as big a state fan as anyone, and he's going to have no idea who's on our basketball team this winter.
Right. Yeah. But it's just the combination, like you said, all that hit at the same time.
Yeah.
Massive changes and just the lack of rules. I mean, to kind of close the door, I guess, on NIL. Yeah. We need to go one or two ways. Either no rules and everybody plays by the same standard, or federal rules and we all like it needs to be one way or the other. The middle ground where we are, where people are getting hurt via their state laws, is bonkers to me. I don't know why anybody thought that was a good idea.
And that's just it, right? You have 50 different sets of rules depending on what state you come from.
Crazy.
And so we kind of just jumped in, and we'll kind of just jump in head first, and we kind of mentioned the portal and kind of how they're all intertwined, unfortunately. Just give me your thoughts on the portal, because that's becoming the Wild Wild West too. As we kind of alluded to, like this whole thing with tampering, we kind of just had our first taste of a coach turning in someone officially with East Carolina just a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. How do you reel that in? Because it's just it's insane.
It's tough, man. I mean, it's again, I see both sides of this thing, and I think there's great ways to use it. I think there's appropriate ways to use it, and then there's bad ways to use it. And when you have a team like Pitt, let's talk about Pittsburgh. A couple of years ago, they grow and develop Jordan Addison. He wins the best receiver award in the Blitnikoff in the country. I mean, balls out. And then someone comes in and says, "Hey, we'll give you a couple million," allegedly. Don't have any idea. "We'll give you a couple million. Come out to L.A." This dude ain't in the portal. He's not looking around. Someone calls him, a player, a coach, whatever it was, however legally it happened. Somebody calls him and says, "Hey, come get all this money." He's like, "Sure. Why wouldn't I do that?"
Why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah. And so, which, again, I'm happy for Jordan. He got his money, was still a draft pick and all these different things. But I don't like that part of it. Now, the other side, you've got guys that were overlooked in high school. You got guys that maybe didn't have grades or whatever it is that they had to go to some smaller school route. They develop, and you look at the Jared Verse of the world at Florida State, defensive end.
Yeah,
and that guy was at Albany. Like, what the heck is that? And he might be a top 10 pick because he got to transfer and play immediately, to Florida State. And so there's the ups and downs of it. And like you said, you can help your team immediately as long as it happens the right way and there's no tampering and there's no weird stuff of you calling somebody or a player calling somebody saying, hey, we need you, come on, then I'm fine with it, man. If a guy's looking around, needs a fresh start, or a coach gets fired, all these different things. Like there's plenty of situations on how it's good. For sure. Unfortunately, we just hear about or see more of the bad, which stinks.
Yeah. Right, because that's the age we live in with social media, right? No one wants to praise on social media. It's like
that's right.
Boo, boo, boo.
Yeah.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
All right. So everyone's favorite topic in the summertime. It feels like every summer we talk about this, and I think you know exactly where we're going. Conference realignments, conference shrinking, conferences getting bigger.
Yeah.
Today I saw you on social media talking about FSU. Maybe you might want to win some games in your own conference.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I saw KG out there saying, well, maybe you might want to talk about this behind closed doors.
Right.
And we know you're a company man, and just kind of give us the thoughts on like where we're at. Is this, obviously the model we have is probably not, and I say we as the ACC, a sustainable model. What does the ACC have to do? Because I don't think it's just merely adding numbers, because at this point, nothing moves the needle. And I heard you guys talk about that on your guys' podcast before. So what is it? Like, what do we have to do to survive?
Well, it's interesting, man, because the rights are so long, and at the time, I'm sure it was a great idea. But it's just, I don't know why anybody would ever sign that long of a deal with this ever evolving landscape. But you look at before, I remember when I was playing, again, all this stuff has happened so fast.
That's it.
I'm not that old. Right. There might have been a game or two where we weren't on TV. And that's crazy to think about now.
Yeah, that really is.
Right, especially with the success.
And that wasn't that long ago. I mean, that's 2011. That's right, a couple of years ago. And so when you look at that and the situation the ACC was in, this is a grand slam. It's a home run. It's an awesome thing. Everybody's excited. But then, everyone else is glowing up in the world. This money's just printing itself. It's bizarre, to be quite honest. And just the situation everybody's in, I get it. I mean, the money is going to double. And that is a big task to be challenged with, of trying to keep up with others. Yeah. I think that the unequal distribution is irrelevant.
I agree.
That's $5 million, which is a lot to us, lots of the three of us talking right now, but it's pennies in comparison, to these things that are going on. So, it's an interesting thing. Where can it be solved? I don't know. I don't know if that's a possibility, unless you add Oregon, you add Washington, you add West Virginia, and then you have to restructure the deal, and you have to go to ESPN and say that we're redoing this. Right. But if you do that, does that allow people to get out too? So it's a weird space, and I'm glad my name isn't Commissioner MACLAIN, and I'm not having to deal with it. I just talk about it.
Or that you're an AD at one of these programs that you maybe had to trying to ascend to, so you'd be dealing with this, and you already don't have any hair, so I don't know where you would get more stress.
It would just turn gray quick right here.
Like mine,
There you go. I was on the grant of rights being so long. I saw somebody say, that might be the only thing that's kind of keeping the ACC intact right now. Also, so in that sense, it's kind of working like to keep teams in, or else the ACC could be looking like the Pac-9 or whatever it is now.
Wait, hold on. This just in Pac-6.
Pac-6. I mean, maybe, because we just heard from Florida State last night, and they're not worried about the grant of rights.
They're chirping.
Their head of their board of trustees said, I'm not worried of anything about that. That does not bother me, that document. So they found something where they feel like they can get out of it, or it's just a lot of noise. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. And that's just it too. Like every day there's a rumor, people wanting clicks. It's it's maddening. But so with the announcement of the college football expansion, and we got that coming up here pretty soon, where we're going to be adding more teams. Do you see a potential or a scenario where the ACC can regularly get 2 squads in? Because if for the longest time, obviously Clemson has been waving the flag, carrying the heavy water. FSU is potentially stepping up. I know you guys were on one of your podcasts recently that I heard is like you need some teams to step up, right?
Yes.
And this is that crucial time to where if the ACC is going to survive, you need that second and third team to step up. So is that going to happen? I guess.
Yeah, I hope so. you know, it's and maybe in this transfer portal world that maybe solidifies it a little bit because FSU's losing a lot after this year, right? Like they have a bunch of seniors, a bunch of guys that are draft eligible, and I assume will be leaving. I guess you could have assumed that last year, and a lot of those guys came back. But I think the biggest knock for the ACC for me, especially this last 10 or so years, has been that there's a number one and then there hasn't been a number two, at least when Clemson was kind of on top, right? For those dominating years, like FSU just fell off the face of the earth, or the number two was a revolving door. Like Louisville stepped up a little bit. I mean, they were 8-5, right? When he won the Heisman. Does that really count as stepping up? There hasn't been a team that can consistently be there year in and year out. And you look at the SEC and it was Alabama and Auburn or LSU or Georgia now, and Georgia's kind of surpassed that and been the number one. At the Big Ten, it's Ohio State or Michigan and Penn State or someone of that Michigan State have made a run there. The Big 12, kind of, maybe. I think they're kind of in the same boat as us, and of course the Pac-12. So when you look at the elites, the big dogs, they have that second tier that is very existent and very healthy. And we just have to continue to develop that. We've seen that. I mean, we've seen that gap close. Certainly Clemson has taken some steps back, but everyone else has taken some really nice steps forward as well. So we just have to continue to see that growth. We have a great opportunity this year with the quarterback play across the league. Everybody that is back or new places, and you guys for sure know about that with Brennan Armstrong and the potential there. And you got to go win out of conference games. Against the SEC, Absolutely. Against the Big 10, against the Big 12, whoever we play. That's how you change the narrative. And then who cares what happens conference play? Like we'll take care of ourselves. But you have to go out and win those games. And my God, beat Notre Dame. Please. Can we do it? We've got 6 cracks at it. I think, do y'all have them?
We got them.
Look at the schedule.
First home game.
Yeah, come on. Let's make some stuff happen. You got a new quarterback, new coordinator.
Yeah,
both of y'all. Let's figure it out. Who can get it going quicker? I can't wait to see it.
I don't think Sam's going to have that mesh offense that he had at Wake Forest, so it's going to be interesting.
But maybe he has that one blow-up game. Maybe it's against you guys. Who knows? He's due for one.
A repeat of Louisville from last year.
Right. I called that game. That was crazy. That was insane to watch.
Wow. I want to kind of talk about something fun. You kind of mentioned, you enjoy your time in Raleighwood, and you're going to be making a return trip with the summer road trip here on August 8th.
Come on,
that's NC State's Day. I kind of just want to, talk to me about like your typical day. Like, what do you look forward to? When you're there, like how long are you there? Do you go get some good grub? Like, just kind of tell me about your experience when you're out there on the road.
Yeah, man, it's so relaxed and so chill. I love it. Because there's not a game. It's just practice. We're early in practice too at this point. Which is important to them. Like camp is one of the worst things ever, right? Like everybody's strung out, tired, and tired of hitting each other. But it's a good time. And so, I look forward to it, man. Just being in the city, being on campus, and seeing the sights there. But also, like you said, getting some great food. We kind of have our stops throughout. We've been to what's it called? Barn or Yard? What's the big steakhouse?
Angus Barn.
Angus Barn. And Angus Barn a couple of different times. There's a really great sushi spot in Raleigh that I forget the name of it, but I love going there. But then just, like I said, being around everybody and kind of, being with Coach Dorn and seeing him practice and, kind of going through my list of, okay, let me look at size. How are we doing lengthwise? Mass. How big are we, on the lines of scrimmage? What kind of length do we have out on the edge, explosive playmakers. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the guy? And then you look at quarterbacks really long and hard. I can, games, it's obviously easier because it matters and it's life and death and all that out there with a game. But practice, you can really see some fun tendencies that, maybe the casual viewer doesn't get to see because they don't get to go to practice. So I'm excited to see that. How much does NC State really start installing? Again, we'll be there so early, probably not a ton going on from an install perspective. Well, second week, maybe it will then, actually. But with Coach and I mean, it was so vanilla in the spring, right? Like on purpose. It was purposeful to just figure out what we got. Who do we have? What can they kind of handle? And talking with Brennan, he said, we're jacking it up, man, soon. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So just to see that and how can he do the things that he's done at Virginia, at Syracuse with NC State? And, is Penix going to be the guy that's kind of that all over the place hybrid?
What we're kind of hoping for.
Yeah, can he stay healthy and do that? So just kind of all those things that on a typical game week I wouldn't have the opportunity to do. Right. That's what I get to do at kind of these and see kind of what's going on behind the scenes.
Gotcha. And
I get a great lift in, by the way. Shout out to Coach, man. He lets us in there. We go Thunder. Crazy. Coach Thunder is a beast, man. He always lets me in there and sling around some iron.
He had a great game against your friends Notre Dame in the
he did most tackles in a game, right?
Yeah, he had against that was the Gator Bowl back in 2002. I love it. Yeah. So, I guess the last question I kind of want to wrap up on our first segment here is you guys, as in the ACC Network, announced a new thing that you're going to be doing this year, taking the ACC Huddle and ACC PM on the road this fall. I guess kind of just like what is it that you're going to be looking forward to and looking to do while you're doing that, and what can the fans expect? Is there going to be because this is something we've never done as an ACC network. So I'm just kind of curious as to some of and there might be some spoilers and we don't need those, but just kind of give me your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, man. First of all, I am just so freaking jacked up about this. I mean, just to be live and in person at the site, there's nothing like it, man. And we have some really killer places, universities, that it's so different, right? We have such a vast array and diversity of what we have going on in the ACC from a perspective of universities. But to be there, to feel that environment is nuts. And we've been to Raleigh a couple of times. We've been at NC State a couple of times, kind of same setup there. It'll be interesting to see how they change it now that it's a weekly thing. Like, are we kind of outside the stadium amongst tailgating and stuff for a little bit and then pregame in the stadium? So it'll be fascinating to see, kind of their direction and want to go with that. But I'm sure we'll have some events throughout the day. We'll have some cool chalk talks or gatherings and things of that nature. But just to be there, man, and to feel it and be in that city, for a weekend is something I just can't wait. I can't wait for.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So I think we're going to pause there for episode 1. Eric, give us all your socials. I mean, you're everywhere. You're on Sirius XM. I mean, just throw out everything you want, and we'll definitely promote it for you.
That's right, man. I appreciate it. Just my name, Eric MACLAIN, across the board there. Is Threads a thing? Has it dissolved yet? I haven't logged in. Since that first night, I haven't logged back in.
Same here.
But anywhere, you can check it out. Love Twitter, man. Love interacting with people and talking on there. And then, of course, Gramlich and MACLAIN is the mainstay there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're releasing cool content. Our NC State episode is coming up here in a couple of weeks. You guys got to check that out. And Sirius XM, man, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm a subscriber on YouTube and on Apple. So depending on if I'm on the road or I'm at home, sometimes I got options. That's right. I like to do the RPO for podcasting.
That's right.
All right, Eric. That'll do it for episode 1. Wolfpack Nation, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like, subscribe, hit those bells. Follow us on Twitter. You already know we've been doing this for a while.
That's right.
But you make sure you come back because we got some fun stuff for episode 2. So as always, Wolfpack Nation, go Pack.